couldn't worse, get it all done with my grand. And welcome back to the 12th man. Apologies for that wee error glitch. I had the wrong button and deleted the whole show. So I had to start from scratch again. Few teething issues, but delighted to have you in with 7. Obviously, big weekend for Chelsea coming up. FA Cup. They're flying at the minute. Possibilities of an All English final as well. Chelsea, Man City again. Possibilities of an All Europa. Arsenal United. So we're going to be getting into all that. We're going to be looking ahead to some really big fixtures coming up. We're going to be looking at them Paul Pogba comments about Jose Mourinho as well. So delighted to have you with 7, and delighted for all the viewers to be back in this time. Don't worry, you're safe. I'm not going to put the show out this time. But here we go. He's on 350 grand a week, and he's literally doing live streams on Twitter during a game. Like it's embarrassing.
It's honestly, I'm surprised you're there getting 350 grand a week for not even
so only 1.6 hours for me, and that is like Sunday, the month on Saturday. My opinion is like the game every Well, Evan, delighted to have you back. You're brilliant on the last show. Just in case anyone missed that, Evan's a 1-to-1 coach. He's got a YouTube channel called Balling with Barry, is that right?
Yep, Balling with Barry.
I actually was watching the videos. Obviously, you see some of them pop up on Facebook. I watched that last one, hey, and I have to say it was top level. Like I don't know you too well. I know we sort of came into contact because of what we were doing. Me coaching, doing the podcast, you doing your stuff. But like I was actually, so surprised at how good the level was. It was really, really top stuff. Like it's a good setup you have down there in Dunree. And some of the lads that were on the video too, I have to say, it was like watching professionals. Some of the finishing, some of the skill. But I suppose that all comes back to yourself too. And giving them instructions. So no, it was really, really good. Check that out. Check some of them videos out. They're really, really good watch. And obviously with the music on it too, it's a very easy watch. So you must be buzzing. Like I seen your subscribers going up as well and stuff. So you happy with how it's going at the minute?
I will have about 40 or so subscribers. Like I don't really mind too much about the views. I kind of do it for myself. So in future I can look back and be like, this is what I spent my time doing, like, and just having something nice to look at. But as you said, it's quality. Like the boys I have down, like they're all dead on. They're all great. They're like dedicated to it. There's no messing about down at it. There's good intensity, like wanting to get back up to speed for when it does come back. And you can see the quality shines through. Like there is some unread clips like that. Might go, you could see it go viral if they came off a bigger account, like
massive
things. Like
you can watch loads of videos from different grounds, and it just goes up because of the views. It's obviously getting your name out there, but it was really, really good watch. So honestly, it's not just because he's on. I would advise anyone. I actually shared it there already, I think, as well. anyone that's interested in that kind of stuff, it's really worthwhile to watch. And it's really I got a lot of pleasure in it. I was like, that's class. Really enjoying it. With everything that's going on at the moment. But good news is, Barry, it looks like everything's going to be opening up soon. I know South slightly behind, but in the North, you've seen yesterday, competitive football, competitive sports back next Friday. So that means matches, for example. The pubs are going to be, the hairdressers are opening, the barbers are opening, so you need to get your hair cut. The pubs are going to be opening outside, cafes, coffee shops. So it almost seems like within the next few weeks, everything's going to be near enough available to us, which is great. And that means as well for yourself that kids' football will be back and you'll be able to do a lot more.
Well, booked out already for the first week back, so
that's what you want.
Hard to beat, like I think I have 5 sessions and they're all booked out. So I'd say
you're in a catchment area too. You're in a catchment area too. Everyone's going to be you've no competition.
That's it.
No, obviously it's fantastic. I think anyone that challenges you down that direction is going to have to put up a serious video or two to get them away from me. But let's focus on the other stuff what we're on here for, and that's the football. It's on TV, not so much our football, but Chelsea. We talked about them quite a lot the last time you were on, and I was saying I fancied them to get free Porto. I think most people did. They've had that blip against West Brom since. We'll chat about that a wee bit, but it's more of a freak result type of thing. Because I watched them against Palace last weekend, they were fantastic. And if you look at the draw for the Champions League, we're going to end it a bit more. You'd probably say it's favourable. I know it's a semi-final against Real Madrid, but you've avoided Man City, PSG. Everyone seems to be, saying that's the glamour tie. So I think Chelsea and as well Madrid probably are both happy with, again, that side of the draw. We always say at the start, Liverpool fans were saying they wanted that side of the draw. I think anyone on that side of the draw was happy because they were avoiding Man City, PSG, Bayern Munich. But it's a great chance for Chelsea to make an hour final. And as well, we've got this big FA Cup semi-final at the weekend. So you're still very happy with how things are going with Tuchel and you're dreaming of more success.
Well, I'm happy enough. The league form, as you said, it dipped a wee bit, that freak result against West Brom, but I think that was just absolute rustiness. I think it was the first game back after the international break, and they threw Thiago back in, and he just clearly wasn't ready. You could see in the first 5 minutes he was desperate. But the Champions League, the first game was quality. I think that Chilwell goal really just sealed it, and then the second game they just went out like Madrid did to Liverpool and just killed off the tie. They just didn't allow them to create any chances whatsoever. Porto, except for that freak goal they scored, but they just went out with a clear game.
I didn't see that game already. The second leg, was it a very poor game? Was it both teams just?
It was mostly Porto dominated possession, but Chelsea nullified anything. I think they only had 2 or 3 maybe shots.
Do you think that Chelsea are the best team at adapting the opposition at the moment? They play a lot of. You seen them against Palace, high possession. Palace couldn't get near them at all. I think they had the one shot they had to score from. But Havertz could have scored 5 or 6 on his own. They dominated the game, created loads of chances. Then you see them against Porto, where they were able to suffocate possession and be hard to beat until the 94th minute, where there was an overhead kick went on. But do you think that it's good practice in terms of coming up against Man City now that they're able to change up how they play? Yeah,
definitely. I think Tuchel must be excellent at his analysis of other teams coming in, because even that first 15 games he had Chelsea didn't play the same way twice. There was different setups and different players doing different jobs, and even the attacking players lining up. You could see Pulisic on the left one week, on the right the next. It's hard to know what they're going to do, and especially the lineups. He's been so sporadic with his choices. That middle three, it changes every week.
Talk about
Pulisic and Jorginho.
You talk about manager. A lot of teams are criticised for chopping and changing. Look at Mourinho at the minute, but chopping and changing is very difficult to get right and keep everyone happy and get results week in, week out. And he seems to be doing that, bar that West Brom game. I know he's lost the night against Porto, but down to a great goal in the game. The tie was effectively over, so it's almost like a meaningless game, win or lose. Obviously, do you think this is a judgment time now, that almost when he come in, that he wasn't expected too much? Everyone, no way you come in and halfway through the season, it's almost like the season's wrote off and that it's all about next year. That's what you hear by a lot of fans and managers. You look at Di Matteo, though. Di Matteo was an exception to that at Chelsea. He went on and he won the Champions League and the FA Cup in that season. Do you think that with Tuchel, there's a real possibility that not only could he do that, but he could also build for the future? Not with Di Matteo, it was more like a quick fix, and for whatever reason, all the players got on it, and then sort of he was sacked after a few. But do you think with Tuchel, there's more of a long-term plan there?
I think so, because whenever Di Matteo came in, it was like a quick fix, and he didn't have the experience that Tuchel has. at like
Yeah.
a top club. I know it was PSG and it was in like that farmer league, like, but and I think even the quality in this Chelsea team now, like, and the potential they have could be greater than that team that won the Champions League. Like, bar Drogba, Lampard, Terry, and Czech.
I think this
The
team's got
quality,
a very good, it's got youth on its side.
yeah,
It's a youth team. It's a
definitely.
youth team.
Like
Mm,
this team, like that 2012 team, like collapsed after that. Like that was nearly like the peak, and then it all went
yeah.
down. And then there was a big rebuild job with Hazard coming in and a few different players. Like, but
I
I
think
definitely,
even that Champions League run. You look at the Barcelona second leg, and you look at the Bayern Munich final. Like Chelsea were quite fortunate they won it. Any
yeah,
the chances that the other
definitely,
teams must, they relied on good fortune. They took their chances when it came. But I think with this team, they're more capable of. I don't think anyone will be looking at Chelsea lightly. I
yeah,
think people were saying, Madrid were very good against Liverpool, and Liverpool underestimated them. We're going to find out how good Madrid are against Chelsea, because if Chelsea were to wipe the floor with them, it doesn't speak great about Madrid. I think that if
yeah,
you see Madrid in that second leg, the Liverpool are very, very poor for 45 months against them. You look at the Madrid probably shaded the second half in the first game, but there wasn't much in it. And then you look at that game the other night, Liverpool dominated. The game. I know
yeah,
Madrid were happy to sit back and concede possession, but if Liverpool had their shooting boots on, they could have easily made it a lot more nervy for them. And I
definitely.
think against Chelsea, we're going to see how good Madrid are. But would you be confident on that you think Chelsea would be the
Uh,
most likely winners?
Definitely, I would have preferred to get Madrid over Liverpool. Like, I just think
Yeah,
Liverpool in the Champions League, they're just a different animal.
yeah.
Like they just perform, but I don't know what happened against Madrid. But I would just be wary of that midfield three that they have, because it's still, I think, at the moment, it's probably performing this year the best in the world. That Modric, Kroos, and Casemiro, because
They've
they've been
got
playing
quality.
together for they've been playing together for 6 or 7 years, and they know each other inside out. Like,
They've got outstanding quality, and you've seen in the first leg when they get time on the ball, you're asking for trouble. You get under their fists and
yeah,
you might get a test of stamina. They're especially Cruz and Modric. They're not young players. You seen Cruz
yeah,
got hauled off after about 70 minutes because he was tired. Um,
yeah,
if Chelsea can mix it up and really make it a test for them, not just on the ball, but like physically and mentally, I think it'll favour them. But getting back to this weekend's game against Man City, I think we were on here before and you were saying that was the most likely game you said between now and the end of the season of losing.
yeah,
But you've seen Man City since they've lost their leads. They've looked a bit shaky recently. You've seen them in the
yeah.
Champions League. Dortmund, made a real fuss against them over the two games. Do you think there's a real opportunity for Chelsea to get through on Saturday?
I think potentially, but I wouldn't be counting
Do
on
you
it.
think we're seeing the best? And the United fans are probably watching this. They probably might not like this, but do you think that we're seeing the two best teams and I'm going against each other? I know if
I
you look at the
think
league table, it doesn't say that, but if you look at since Tuchel's come in, what he's done, the way he's got some of them players playing, do you think that's the two teams potentially are the best?
I think organizationally, yes, because at times United can be very hit and miss and inconsistent with
Yeah.
the way they play. They can well, they do grind out results, but they're inconsistent in the way they play. As in, they're either really bad
Well, yeah.
defensively or
Did
they
you
just
watch the
can't
game last
score.
night? Did you watch the game
I
last night? They were played
I
off the
what?
park in the second half. Granada were very
Yeah.
unfortunate. Had a
Well,
couple
I
of
don't know.
goals.
That Kennedy, the Chelsea ex Chelsea
Uh,
man. I don't know where he came from. He didn't play like that for Newcastle anyway.
no, he was very good in the two games
Uh,
that I seen him on. But do you think that Chelsea or Man City are still the favourites for this game, even though they've had a bit of a dip against Leeds? It was against 10 men as well. Chelsea are in really good form, bar that West Brom game. Do you think that City are still the favourites? They've been there, they've done it. There's still a few question marks about Tuchel and Chelsea, that they have to prove it in a big game now.
I think I still fancy them to do the quadruple. Like, I could see them doing it easily, but I would hope that Chelsea would go out and put in a
Mm,
good performance against them, and I would hope that even at best, at the worst, take them to extra time. I think they have the squad to do it and match them player for player. I
do you know
think
what,
if
Evan?
they can use Kante effectively against De Bruyne, I think they might be doing well.
I was convinced maybe even a month ago, that they were going to do the quadruple. I'm not as easily convinced. I still think they have a great chance of doing it. But what I've seen them in recent games, they've looked like they're. Do you think they're struggling on all four fronts? I know that League Cup, it's still. I know they aren't playing any
Mm.
games in the League Cup, but it's still there in the back of our mind. It's going to be their first chance they won silver this year still. Um, next Sunday. and they've got PSG a couple of days after that. First leg,
Mhm.
which is going to be huge. You've seen against Bayern Munich that I know it was only a 1 goal deficit, but getting them 3 away goals, it can be over and done with in one leg if you get it wrong. So again,
Yeah,
City won't want to take any chances. I think the pressure's on Champions League still. Everyone expects them, they want it. And the fact they haven't been there and done it, they're going to be it's going to be nervy times on there. You think about this FA Cup game, in recent seasons gone by, Man City have been fortunate with cup draws. They're going to come up against, well, we like it or not, or something. Spurs are still seen as a good side, and it's not. They played Villa in the final last year, so you'd think that'll be a harder game in always Spurs and the Spurs that
yeah,
are on. But it's still against a top 6 team. For example, they've got Chelsea to play in the semi-final rather than a Leicester or a Southampton. So again, they're going to have to go with a strong team, and they've got
yeah.
PSG in the semi-final. Probably the team that, if you look at the 4 teams, Man City probably would have wanted to avoid. So they've got some really tough draws this year. They go and win them competitions. So do you think they're just struggling with it? I think if you've seen that game against Leeds, where do you
Yeah.
think their focus is just elsewhere at the minute?
I think the two centre backs. I think Stones had a bit of a wobble for England that time, and then whenever he came back, I think Haaland played really well in that game. On
Yeah,
was it Wednesday night? I think he exposed Diaz a bit as well for the goal. He kind of was very
yeah.
controlled. I think if you put Mbappe up against Diaz, like I think he's going to burn him like for pace.
I think that
Yeah,
argument with Mbappe and Haaland was settled during the week there. I know it's hard to judge into a couple of games, but Mbappe gives you something that Haaland just will never be able to do, and that's that raw piss. And you look
it's
at
filthy.
players,
Like
you look at someone like Sterling, right? Who everyone knows he's a good player, but he's not clinical. He misses all the
yeah,
chances when he's done. And Mbappe, he's not. He's ruthless. And I think
yeah,
if you're weighing it up, Mbappe for me is the one I would go for. If you're looking for that top
yeah.
striker for the next 10 years.
And even at PSG, like if you do go out and you have a game plan to stop Mbappe, they've Neymar. Then like how do you deal with two of them like in the one
PSG
team?
are a great chance.
It was like that Barca team with Messi, Suarez, and Neymar. Like there's too much quality to contain within the team. Like it's just
Yeah.
if that PSG midfield plays well, then the forwards will do the rest. Like that's it. It's just the midfield. If they can get the midfield on firing all cylinders, then they're flying. Like because it's just their attack really. Like it's just unbelievable. Like the quality they have.
Getting back to the game of the weekend, right? We talked about a wee bit about you saying with Tuchel sets up differently in every game. What way do you think he'll set up on Saturday? Do you think he'll respect Man City and let them have the ball, and maybe Chelsea become more of a counter-attacking team, or do you think they'll wrestle them for the possession and maybe try and force City back a bit?
Yeah, I think they should play with a high press anyway, because like you said, whenever you give De Bruyne and Foden and them type players, let them run at you, like they're just going to destroy you. And especially that pocket that De Bruyne likes to get in between the centre back and the left back. Whenever he gets
Yeah,
in there and he whips them balls in, it's just ridiculous, like the quality. So I think if we play a high press, I know Kovacic is out of it, Christensen, but Kante and Jorginho, they're really good at controlling the game, especially Jorginho with the tempo. If we can get possession, I think we can do well. But I think, like you said, on the counter, Chelsea's probably the most dangerous. But the pace of Werner and Pulisic,
mm-hmm. Do you know what I think as well that's going to come into us is going to be Man City's mentality, because there's no doubt about it now. The quadruple talk, everyone was, over the last few months I've been talking about it, but they're here now. The league is all right. They've had a shaky result against Leeds, but they've still got an 11-point advantage. I know they've played a game more. It could be 8 points if United won the game in hand, but you still need to lose 3 games out of the last 8. I just don't see it with the fixtures they have.
no,
You'll be amazed. I'll be amazed, right? So you almost think they have that in the bag. Almost think that if they beat Chelsea, the FA Cup's in the bag. Leicester, the way Southampton's playing, is probably going to be Leicester in the final.
yeah,
Although Leicester haven't
definitely,
been great in the last couple of games, but you'd still think that. I know Leicester done a job in City to start the season, but you looked at that game a few weeks ago when they played them. Was it last weekend? They completely
yeah,
dominated them. So you'd think that they'll be very confident of winning the FA Cup. The Spurs game's going to come on the week. They've had a shaky record against Spurs, and Pep's record against Mourinho recently has not been great. So that's going to be
yeah,
nervy still, even though they'll be huge favourites. And then you almost think that the PSG game's the big one in Champions League. I know they'll play Madrid or Chelsea in the final, it won't be easy, but that'll be the one they think that there's the banana skins there.
yeah,
And you think about it, the league's as good as done. They're in 2 semi-finals and a final. They're so close to pulling this quadruple off now. They're never going to be in this position again. So there's going to
yeah.
be nerves in that dressing room, and I'm just wondering, can they manage all these games without losing a game? Do you know what I mean?
That's it. I
And that's
think
going to
that
give the opposition
Spurs.
confidence.
I think like you said, the Spurs. I think it's the weekend, and then the PSG games. Then during the week, I think that might be the trickiest one because they can't put out half a team against Spurs and expect to win. Because Mourinho's a specialist in finals. Like he knows
Yeah,
what he's doing. You can't put out half a team, so they'll need full guns blazing. And then at into that PSG game, you might have some tired legs. Like so I think that could be the one where they could trip up there, definitely.
yeah,
But they do have the quality, and you see some of their benches sometimes could they put out seven players against the team, they could do nearly as good as we 11. Like that bench that they can put out with Aguero, Mahrez, Gundogan, maybe sometimes on the bench. Like they've ridiculous depth in the team. That's the only thing. Like they and like I was gonna say at the start, like I said about Tuchel being like sporadic with his team selection. The only other manager in the league that's that ruthless is Pep. He's unbelievable for it, and it works every time. I don't know how, but he just does it. Like it doesn't
yeah.
matter what team he puts out, what front three, they just produce week after
Yeah,
week.
it's going to be interesting to see what way he manages it, right? Because they obviously played midweek and they went with a very strong team. They've got Chelsea on Saturday. They've got Villa away on Wednesday in the
Mm.
league, and then Spurs in the cup final, and then away to PSG on the Wednesday again. You know, where's he going to hit the most? You know,
Yeah,
everyone will look at the Villa game, right? Possibly, but you know, it's going to be very difficult because then he's going to have to go back to back against Spurs and PSG. So it's going to be it's going
yeah,
to be a lot of. I don't think Pep's ever been in this position before. You know, so
no,
it's going to be a test that has judgment too. And the more you think about it, Evan, there's going to be a slip here somewhere. I think
yeah.
there
There
has to
has
be.
to be.
You
Yeah,
know, so
like
where's it going to come for you?
I probably the PSG game, but I think they might keep damage control so that they might lose maybe one or two goals, and maybe try and claw back in the second leg that kind of way. But I think PSG the first game might give them a shock to their system. I think they
Yeah,
might like they did with Barcelona, and then PSG might be a bit more conservative in the second leg. They might try and go out and just all guns blazing, try and kill it off in the first leg like they did to Barcelona, and then Barcelona were just fighting an uphill battle then the whole way. Like so, I think
I
maybe
think we're
that
in for
PSG game,
two cracking games. So the PSG
uh,
Man City. But
definitely,
Chelsea right at the minute. The star players got to be missing Mount for me recently. I mean, hey, good player. I always thought, but I've never really seen the. You know, I've seen Southgate playing quite a lot over our players, and I thought, what should they have Grealish on there instead? Maybe Madison, maybe
yeah,
Foden. But Mount always seems the one that is always on there, and you can see why now. Tuchel seems to have
definitely,
got him playing. I see against Crystal Palace, was picking up them positions that De Bruyne picks up just off the right
yeah,
side of the pitch and stuff, and popping up in areas which has obviously been coached him because he wasn't doing that on the Rampart for me. Uh, and his final balls getting better and stuff. So, do you think he's got the potential to be a world class player?
definitely. Like you said, he's not being played now in a midfield too. Like he used to, like Lampard used to play him alongside maybe or Jorginho, and he would go forward, Jorginho would sit. But now he's being played as one of them front three, and that's the same way Pep does with De Bruyne. Lets him go, has free attacking range, and then expects a bit of defensive work, but not an awful lot. But he does his. I think it came to the fore his work rate, and now it's starting to shine through the quality that he has as well on the ball. Like that goal he scored against Porto in the first leg was absolutely ridiculous. Like the
Yep.
spin and the finish, like it was just quality. And I don't think a year ago he would have had that quality. So I think he's been coached really well, and he has been told to just go and really express himself. Like, and I think Southgate has done a great job of that too. He's taking the heat off him and the flack, and even Declan Rice and Grealish were saying they're like, I don't get why he's not getting the praise he deserves. Like people are being so critical of him. Like I think Madison even was coming out saying that too, being like, "No, he is like quality. Like I'm not disputing why he's starting over me." Like so,
Yep.
even whenever professional players are coming out and saying that, like they must be talking
You
some
always
sense.
you
Like,
always take note of that, don't you? When there is a lot of talk about
like
it. I remember them Sancho and Sterling and stuff, and Rashford not saying that Kane was the best striker to play with because he was creating loads of chances and he always dropped deep so he could run behind and stuff. So no, it is really important when you see that, and you can see why Mount's been an ever present for Southgate.
yeah,
And his work rate as well is incredible. It's not just his
yeah,
end product and stuff. So the one to watch is obviously Havertz. He's seen the last few games. He seems to be coming to life a bit. He's got that air of class about him. He's seen it.
yeah.
But you've seen him in front of goal against Crystal Palace. Almost seems like he just doesn't want to hit the ball hard. Do you think he's just
I
he's almost like a not like a Berbatov where he's he's too focused on making it being a great finish, or instead of just putting his foot through it and rifling it on the net.
Yeah, well, the goal he scored was like it was really good against Palace, and some of the touches he displayed was ridiculous. Like, but I one of the pundits that was on for that Chelsea Porto game was saying he just looks like he's really really shy, and like I doubt he'd be a big character in the dressing room or anything. So I think that shines through. Like you can see him whenever he's running about on the pitch. He's looking to see, should I be doing this? Should I not? He seems well nervous or something. I think if he just gets that bit of confidence, 3 or 4 more goals, few more good performances, I think he could really start to shine.
Like we'll
he
see
was
the
given
best of him next season.
Next season definitely, because it took him a season or two. He started a few games for Leverkusen, and then all of a sudden got the confidence, scored a few goals, and he became the main man. Then like they were dependent on him, game in game out. Like
be interested to see him at the Euros for Germany, because I'm sure he'll play in that pocket where he's been playing for them. See how he gets on there.
Yeah.
But Stevie, what's happening to you too? Good to see him. Good to see him. Do you know Stevie?
I've heard him sing once or twice on Facebook.
Yeah, sing once or twice, and then he didn't want to listen anymore.
Nah.
No, Stevie's top man. Hopefully get to see him soon for a few pints. But moving on. Seeing obviously with the Champions League, Chelsea are going to be coming against Real Madrid, PSG, Man City, who touched on, and then the Europa League draws again. We've got Arsenal's away to Villarreal in the first leg, and then it's United home to Roma. So just on them ties, right? You've seen that there's 4 English teams still left, and then what are they? 8 opponents. I think Spain have 2, and then there's one from France, and one from Italy, and one from I think that's it. On it, 4 to and one of each. Does it still prove that even though we're quite critical and think that the English league's a poor standard, based on all these teams fighting for 4th with very little points, that's probably still the best.
Yeah, I think that season, I think it was the Liverpool Tottenham and Champions League final. Everyone was like, "Oh, this clearly shows." And Chelsea Arsenal was in the Europa League, and then I think the season after it dipped. Everyone was like, "Oh, it's clear to see the standard has changed." But I think this year the standard has been so high across the Premier League, like it is ridiculous. And
I'm not sure though, Evan. I think maybe Man City have set a good standard.
Yeah,
I think in Liverpool and Man City for the last couple of years, I think if you look at the 3rd and 4th positions, like last season they were finishing with 60 points off, 65 middle month 60s, and getting into the top 4. Whereas if you go back maybe 10 years, I mind Arsenal and Spurs fighting, and Spurs one year finished with 72 and finished outside the top 4. So I do think there's been a top. Maybe that's down to more competitiveness. There's more teams fighting for them positions. But when West Ham if the West Ham were to get in there and Leicester were to get in there, would that not point to maybe this the standard not being as good as it used to be? Or does that just point out that these teams are improving? I'm not so sure. And then the other thing I would point out is I think the standard in Europe's dreadful. I think it's really, really bad. I think if you look at Spain, some of the Spanish teams' performances this season have been bad. Germany, if you go back last year, was poor. So it's interesting. It's interesting to see what we're not last year, the year before. I think Dortmund could smash by Spurs. Bush and Gladbach got smashed by City, and they were well beat this year by them. And Liverpool smashed Bayern Munich a couple of years ago too. So there was a really bad year for them, and only bounced back last year, and a wee bit more this year. By Bayern Munich won on it last year, but I still think that these teams are very, very poor teams.
Well, I think, like you said about Leicester and West Ham, and even Everton this season haven't been the worst. I think that the quality is coming up, because you look at the fight for 4th place, and there's about 4 or 5 teams that could easily make it in them spaces. Like there's only 5 or 6 points between it, and I really, at the moment, like I hate to say it, but I'd love to see West Ham get in the top 4, because I think they've been quality. Even with the injuries they've had to Antonio.
You know what? I Spurs fans will be sweating at the moment, because West Ham could finish in the top 4. Chelsea could win the Champions League or top 4. But one of the Champions League, for example, and Arsenal could win the Europa League. I mean, that could be a really, really dark time for Spurs fans. I'm telling you, the way we are doing it. But hey, the way we are, look, I wouldn't be surprised if it happened. I mean,
that last time Chelsea won the Champions League and Spurs last out.
See, that's the other thing too. Liverpool fans would need to take notice, because I think there's still a chance they could finish 4th. But if Chelsea already finished 5th, won the Champions League, Arsenal already won the Europa League, 4th place misses out. So it's only top 3.
Right. I know. It'll be tight though. Them last few games for the fight for fourth place. I think first place is gone. I think United are okay in second, but the fight for fourth is on. Like it's so
Yeah, I think it's
so
definitely third and
competitive.
fourth now with the way Leicester's been playing recently. So
Yeah, and I think if any of them teams play against each other, it's hard to pick a winner at the moment. Like because
yeah,
teams
West
are
Ham
so
play Chelsea
inconsistent.
next
Like
weekend. It's going to be interesting.
yeah, exactly. Because I think Moyes is doing an unreal job there. Like he really is.
Brilliant, I see.
He's done great bit
But
of
it'll be interesting to see if they can
play
keep it up.
trying.
Because I mean, if they don't finish, problem is now if you don't finish in the top four, it's almost like disappointment for them because they're not up there now fighting and stuff. So that's a big thing. But you have to look at it realistically and say they've been brilliant, whatever happens. But so it's just all them draws, right? Madrid, Chelsea. We'll start with Champions League ones. Madrid, Chelsea. Who would you favour there? I know you're a Chelsea fan, but who would you favour?
Have to back Chelsea. I can see them doing it. Like definitely, maybe like a 3-3-1 overall. I can see us conceding one. I think Vinicius is very dangerous for them, and their midfield might control a lot of possession. But I think on the counter we might do them once or twice.
I'm going to agree with you too.
Yeah.
I think Chelsea will be in the final. I think they'll get past Madrid. PSG, Man City. How do you see that going? I think we're on for an epic 2 games. But who would you favour to get through?
Oh, it's wild hard to say. I have to say Man City just off the consistency, but I think it'll be a great high scoring 2 ties. Like both of them, I think the defenses will just go to the dogs.
Yeah.
Like
you know what I said a couple of months ago that the quadruple was happening. I'm going to be a bit of a flip flop here. I'm going to change my mind. I think this is where they're going to slip up. I think if they get past Chelsea, get past in the semi final, and they get past Spurs, which I expect them to do, you know, there's a good chance they could win another domestic treble, which is a couple of years ago, and that'll be League Cup, Premier League, and FA Cup. But the factor up against this PSG, and I think in a way everyone wanted to see Man City Bayern, but the way Bayern play might suit them. You know, they don't have for some reason Bayern. They a lot of possession, but I don't think the possession suits like Sassani and Coman. I think they're more counter-attacking players. And I know they're missing Lewandowski, but they looked a little bit toothless up front in that second game. And I think PSG are going to be the absolute nightmare for Man City because they'll be happy to let Man City have the ball. The big centre half, Pereira, I couldn't mind his name last day. He was excellent in the 2 games. I think he could be a big player. What's that?
Danilo Pereira, is it the Portuguese?
It's very, very good. They seem to be well organised at the back, a lot better than they've been under the likes of Tuchel and Emery. And they look like they've got a belief about them, and that counter-attack's devastating. Di Maria was fantastic the other night. And then Neymar. The only thing about Neymar they'll criticise is he can be wild wistful. He misses a lot of chances. Even in last year's games, he was missing chances as well in them last semi-finals and finals. And I think they're going to have to be ruthless against City. But Mbappe, if he gets the chances, you'd fancy him. So I'm just going to side with PSG. I think they might do them.
Jeez. It'll be interesting to see.
They really want Pochettino, they want it.
Fair. Yeah.
Europa League.
They did, to be fair.
Europa League. Man United against Roma. Who do you favour there?
United all day there. I'd say it's going to be an all-English final there for sure. Like I'd love to see Emery beat Arsenal, but I can see United taking a hand out of Roma, to be honest. They just have far more quality. Definitely. Yeah. Although I'd like to see Dzeko do well against them.
Yeah, I think United will get past Roma too. I think, to be honest, Ajax would have been the team that United wanted to avoid. Ajax played Roma off the park last night. Very unlucky to lose that game. I think United will enjoy playing Roma, to be honest. They'll sit back, and I think United will have too much quality for them. I think United will go through, and then Arsenal, you fancy them as well?
Definitely. They just have... And I think in recent years, Arsenal and the Europa League have been better than Arsenal in any other competition. Yep. They just play with so much more freedom, especially Pepe. I don't know what that man's on. But Pepe in the Europa League's a different machine altogether. I don't know what it is. It's just his competition.
Seems to suit them European teams, but I think the problem that Villarreal have is Emery. I know Emery's got a great competition, or a great record in this competition, but his teams are very open, and I think with Arsenal's firepower up front, that'll be the difference. I think if they really sit back and make it difficult for Arsenal, I think if Arsenal were coming up against the Roma, it will be very interesting. But I think Villarreal suit them, just like Prague suited them the other night. They were very attacking. They were opened up, and I think that'll suit Arsenal. So I do fancy an all-English final here as well. I do fancy at least one all-English final. There's a good chance we could have 2, but I'd say I fancy. So I'm going to go PSG, Chelsea final. I'm going to go Arsenal United final. It'll be interesting to see if that happens.
To throw back against PSG.
Moving on to this weekend's predictions. Start off with FA Cup games. Man City, Chelsea. How do you see it going?
I'm going to be negative and say 2-1 City.
2-1 City.
It's just the way I see it going.
I think you could be right, and I think your extra time call might be far away here. So
Yeah.
I'm going to go 2-1. I'm going to go 2-1 Man City as well in
Yeah.
extra time. But hey, before we get into that, I've actually forgot. Sorry, one second. Before we get into that, the Pogba comments. Jeez, how did I forget
Oh,
about them?
jeez.
Obviously,
course.
Pogba came out today and said them comments about Mourinho. There's going to be a full exclusive interview on Sky on Sunday before the United Burnley game. But he said that he went against the players and that if you were put on the sideline, you were basically cast aside, and that you basically like you never existed anymore. That's how he made you felt, and that one day it was great with him, and then the next day you didn't know what happened. You just wouldn't speak to you. And we sort of spoke off camera about it. Do you think that it's just down to Mourinho's done this before to our clubs, and if you think back to that first time at Chelsea and Inter Milan, that football's changed a lot since then. That it's all about putting the arm on the shoulder now and stuff, and Mourinho's just not that type of manager.
Definitely. Like I said, it happened with Juan Mata the second time Mourinho was at Chelsea, and he just cast him aside, sold him to United, and then he was unfortunate enough to come across him again at United. But I think it happened with Pogba big time, and Pogba hasn't been the same since that. He came from Juventus to United, and then I think he was ruined for a few years, and I think he's only starting to come over that now, get over it kind of, and he's starting to shine through again now because I think United are a different team when he plays. Even out in the left, he's quality for them. But I think Mourinho came out too in an interview recently, and he said that whenever he was at Chelsea the first time, he had leaders at the age of 21. Lampard and Terry, he had grown men, and now them players, them Fodens, them Greenwoods, they're babies at that age. Like they have so much to learn, whereas players back in the day,
I think you're seeing a pattern, right? When Mourinho at every club, when it goes wrong, he blames everybody else. He rarely takes responsibility. He's come out this week and said about his press conference, but leading up to it, that he knows the reasons why Spurs are not hanging on the leads, but he'll never speak about them. He probably never will. Again, it points fingers at our people. There's an argument they say that why should Spurs be trying to hang on the leads at 1-0? Why should they not be trying to go and finish games off? I think the same thing happened to United. You only have to look at Pogba and Shaw as the two biggest examples at United. That since Ollie's come in, they've become better players. And it doesn't look good for me when things like that are happening. Them players were very much cast aside, and everyone thought that their time at the club was over. Mourinho would have traumatized them, and they never would have been able to get back to a level that they were good enough for United. But Shaw's probably been United's best player this season, and since Pogba's come back into the team, United have been better. And I think it's only this season that you've seen it where when Pogba's been missing from United, it's been a loss whereas before it was almost like it was a blessing that Pogba wasn't playing. So it doesn't look good for him, and the fact that he's blaming players again now at Spurs, and we spoke about it off camera as well, that although some of these players haven't won anything for Spurs, they've won it elsewhere. They've won at our clubs. We talked about Alderweireld winning the La Liga with Atletico Madrid. Lloris been a World Cup winner. So there is players in that dressing room. Joe Hart's a Premier League winner. Højbjerg, I think he won the German League with Bayern Munich. There's players in that dressing room that have won stuff. So what do you think they'll be feeling? Do you think there'll be someone? I think you've seen that some of them are behind him, but there's a majority of them. They're that modern day player that they're just not going to play for him if he's going to keep doing these type of things.
I would say so. Like Kane, even he came out last week saying he's leaving if they don't get Champions League. I think a lot of the downfall of Tottenham's going to be put on Mourinho, and I think a lot of the players are against him at the moment. Like even Lloris, whenever he came out in that interview and he was saying that the dressing room they're not doing enough and they're not motivated and all this and that, like that's down to the manager. Like if the manager's not motivating you, why you want to go out and play football for him if he doesn't even want you to do it? Like what's the point? Like as a coach, like you need to be putting that fire into the belly of your players, like to want to go out and do it for you and for the club. Like, but I don't think there's much passion about Tottenham at the moment. Like apart from Kane, his heart's with Tottenham, but I don't think anyone else really is in it too much. Maybe Son as well. I think he'd be heartbroken to leave, but I can't see too many more. And Højbjerg seems to have taken well, but other than that, I think
I think this cup final's bigger for him than it is for Spurs. I know Mourinho's got a great record, at clubs, and he's won these cups before. But for his time at Spurs, I think he has to win this to have any chance of staying on, because the league form's terrible. There's nothing to cling on to. I think it was Jamie Redknapp said the other day, and he's defended Spurs quite a few times this season.
Yeah.
that they're really hard watched. The football's terrible. There's very little they can on. They should, and I think even the night's game, I sort of cast it aside. I thought, it's a meaningless game. But the fact they've got a cup final next week, they've got Everton tonight, they've got Southampton in midweek. It's a chance they build a bit of confidence on that game. Everton haven't been playing well. They've drew their last 2 games against Crystal Palace and Brighton. Southampton are in shocking form. Lost 3-0 to West Brom last week. It's a good chance they try and get 2 victories, get on that game. If they were to lose tonight, lose to Southampton, you go into that cup final in disarray, and it's very difficult to see how they would be able to turn up against City and beat them. I think if they can win 2 games, it'll give them a bit of confidence on that, and you never know what'll happen with City the weekend. Chelsea could beat them, and it might put a bit more of a positive spin on it for Spurs. And if Mourinho, if they won that, it might give them a bit of, he's won a trophy. It might give them a bit of, statue at the club.
Yeah.
That's it. But I just don't see it. I think when you see these things happening, when Mourinho usually ends one way, but he needs to try and get some sort of results going in these next few games, and especially the final. It's huge for him. But as we said under predictions, Evan, we've seen both say Man City 2-1. You still
Yeah.
Do you think extra time as well? Or do you think they'll do it in 90 minutes?
I think extra time, and then Jesus or Aguero will score an extra time and break my heart.
Yeah. Leicester, Southampton. Both teams not in great form. How do you see this going?
Leicester's 3-1. I think they have too much quality.
I'm going to go for quite a cage
quality at the moment.
Yeah. I think 1-0 Leicester. I think it'll be cagey, and both teams will not want to open up too much because of the form they're on. Southampton, I've seen Southampton haven't conceded a goal in the FA Cup. It's very strange how they've been turning on the FA Cup, because they've had Arsenal in there, Wolves in there as well. So some difficult ones to get here, but I think Leicester might nick it 1-0. Premier League's back tonight. Everton against Spurs. It'll be interesting to see this because both teams are in pretty poor form. Big game. I think whoever loses this is going to be in real problems for European. I don't mean Champions League. I mean qualifying for Europe at all. And I think the most likely outcome is going to be a draw. I think both teams might be afraid to lose it. So I'm going to go for a 1-1.
I agree. I think it'll be a 1-1. I don't think there'll be too much action either. I think it'll be a fairly boring game, to be honest. They always seem to be whenever these two. Well, the last time they played in the FA Cup, was it? There was a 5-4
game, and there was a bit more of a whoever wins it wins it. There's a very I don't think that'll be the case tonight.
I think Mourinho in that game was just showing that Tottenham can't defend, wasn't he? He just kind of set them out and was like going attacking.
If you look at that game, I think maybe this is why we should go for it and just try and outscore them. I think Calvert-Lewin's busting tonight, which is going to be a big miss for them. But huge game, 12:30 tomorrow. Newcastle against West Ham. Great chance for West Ham to get a 1 on the board before the other teams play. How do you see it going?
I'd say 2-0 West Ham. Jesse Lingard show. Definitely.
Yeah. Newcastle turned a bit of a corner recently. I think this will be quite interesting. I think Newcastle are on their way maximum back and stuff. They've been a better team to watch.
He's quality.
I think West Ham might just have enough. I'm going to go for a 2-1. West Ham 1. Wolves against Sheffield United. 8:15 in the morning. Sheffield United are as good as relegated. I think if they lose this, that could be it. How do you see it going?
I think that's going to be the most boring game of the weekend. I think Wolves have been dire this year without Jimenez. He just seems to be the spark. He seems to be the spark for them and everyone else off them. But even Traore and the explosive players they have, I think Neto's probably been their player of the year, but they've been shocking. I could see a 0-0 or maybe a Wolves 1-0, something terrible.
1-0. I'm going to go 1-0 Wolves as well. I think if Sheffield do lose it, they'll be relegated. Confirmed relegated. Arsenal against Fulham on Sunday at 1:30. Be interesting to see now with Arsenal how much they're focused on. I think the league really doesn't really matter now. I don't think they can finish in the top 6, so too many points behind, and really just trying to. I suppose they won't want to keep losing games, but it really is meaningless if they win them or not or draw. So I think Fulham will see this as an opportunity. Fulham really need to get a 1 now, 6 points from safety, and I think this could be quite entertaining. And I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw.
I might say 2-1 Arsenal. I think Fulham's defence is quite decent now with what do you call Anderson, is it, at the back, and the boy they signed from City, Adebayo. I think they're both very good. They have a decent partnership, and Lookman looks good going forward as well. So I think they might threaten Arsenal, but I think Arsenal will be too good for them. 2-1 Arsenal.
2-1 Arsenal. I'll go 2-2. Yeah. 4 o'clock United against Burnley. Burnley seem to be the team at the minute that are sliding. They've got as Paul Merson would say, they're on a glass mountain with Mulcahy and slippers. They just keep sliding and sliding. They've lost a couple of big games against teams down there as well recently. The Newcastle result was a real bad one. And I think United, at the minute, are playing very well, especially in the league. So I'm going to go for a 2-0 United 1.
I was about to say that as well. I think United, too much quality, 2-0. Sounds about fair.
2-0.
Yeah.
And then on Monday, they rounded off. This will be a cracker. I think Leeds against Liverpool. Liverpool had a big setback in the Champions League. Now they know that the only way of getting into the Champions League is going to be finished in the top 4. And even that, they had made it to finish 3rd if other things go against them with these teams in the competition. So they really, I think Liverpool are in a situation where they can't really afford to lose any games or drop points. So I think they have to go out and win every game.
Yeah.
And Leeds will be really buoyed after that one last week. And they might still think they've an outside chance if they keep winning. Interesting game. How do you see it?
I think Leeds will do well. I think it might be a wee 2-2 draw, kind of. I think Liverpool will be looking to go out and get a bit more confidence back, to be a bit more attacking. I think Leeds might catch them once or twice. So I think it might be a nice, entertaining game anyway. Like you said, probably the best game of the weekend, maybe 2-2 draw.
It definitely will be the best watch. I think of the weekend. I know Liverpool have been very poor for the goal recently. That's the only thing. But I do sense a high scoring game here, and I'm going to go 3-2 Leeds. That's what I'm thinking. I'm going to go Leeds to nick it. But it should be a great watch, and hopefully Gary Neville and Carragher's on for us. Evan, thanks very much for your input. Some really good stuff. Hope you enjoy that game on Saturday. Should be a great watch. City Chelsea. And some big games coming up for Chelsea between the end of the season. And I'll hopefully get you back on again. If Chelsea are in the cup and the 1M finals, you'll definitely be on for a preview. But thanks very much, and I'll see you again.
No bother. Cheers for having me. Happy to be